All right, so today we're going to dive deeper into writing equations of linear functions. That is the primary focus of Algebra 1. To write an equation of a linear function, we need to know the slope and the y-intercept. We talked about that all of Chapter 4. So today we're going to learn how to write that equation when we don't have that exact information. And remember, y equals mx plus b is our goal. So equations from a point and slope is what we're going to do first. Okay, so to do that, okay, we're going to label the x and y in the ordered pair that's given to us. That's a coordinate. We're going to substitute all the values into y equals mx plus b that we know. We're going to solve the equation for the point that we don't know, which is b. Then we're going to write the equation slope-intercept form. Let's check it out step by step. Step 1, label everything we know. M, x, y. So when I look at my equation of y equals mx plus b, I know almost all of the parts. I'm going to substitute each of those into the equation where they belong. So the 11 goes in for y. Okay, the 3 goes in for the m. All right, the 2 goes in for the x. All right, and I don't know what b is yet, so I'm just going to write plus b. Now I want to solve this equation for b. So steps to solve an equation. Combine like terms here, so 3 times 2 is 6. So I have 11 equals 6 plus b. And then if I want to get the b by itself, I'm going to have to subtract the 6 from both sides because it's a positive 6. And I find out that my b value is 5. All right, now a lot of students get anxious and excited that they solved that and they got a number that makes sense to them and they stop. But we don't want to stop yet. We want to write the equation in y equals mx plus b form. Remember the two parts we need there are m, which was given to us as the number 3, and b, which we solved for, and it's the number 5. So we want to take that equation, substitute those in, so y equals 3x plus 5, and that is our final answer. Let's take a look at another 2 examples together. So example 1, don't be scared. Slope is 1/3. The coordinate is 6, 14. So the 1/3 is our m, the 6 is our x, and the 14 is our y. So we're going to take that same equation, y equals mx plus b, and we're going to perform the same process, okay, regardless of what those numbers are. All right, so if I plug in the 14 for my y, the 1/3 for my m, and the 6 for my x, I'll be able to solve that equation for the only variable that's missing anymore, and that is the b. So when I solve this equation, I'm going to multiply those two numbers together. So I get 14 equals 2 plus b. I want to solve the equation for b. So to do that, I'm going to have to minus the 2 from both sides, okay, because it's a positive 2. And I find out that 12 equals b. Again, I'm not done yet. That's just a part, all right, in the process to find my answer. So now that I know my m is 1/3 and I know my b is 12, I should better write my equation in y equals mx plus b form by plugging in the 1/3 for the m and the 12 for the b. And that is my best answer. Okay, and let's try another one here. This one has a decimal in it. No problems here, right? Same process. Slope is 1.75. Okay, the 10 is the x, and the 16.5 is the y. So we're going to do the same process, all right? Numbers change a little bit here, all right? No worries, though. Okay, so I'm going to take y equals mx plus b. I'm going to substitute each of these parts where they belong. So the 16.5 is the y. All right, the 1.75 is the m. Okay, the 10 is the x plus b. Oh, forgot my equal sign. Okay, so the b is the part that I'm looking for. Same as the last couple problems. Start by multiplying these two numbers together. So I get 17.5 plus b. Again, still want to subtract that number from both sides because it's positive. If it would have been a negative number, I would have added it. All right, and I find out that -1 ends up as my b value. Now, yet again, m equals 1.75 was given to me. b equals -1. I just found that. All right, so I want to plug in these numbers to make my equation y equals 1.75x plus -1 is my best answer. I want you to go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try examples 2 and 4 on your own, and then come back, and we'll see how you did. All right, welcome back. So example 2, Okay, label each of my values, m, x, and y. Right, y equals mx plus b is where I'm starting. I'm substituting in negative 22 for the y, negative 5 for the m, 5 for the x. I'm going to solve that equation for b. I end up getting negative 12. I'm going to label each of those 5, or negative 5 and negative 12 as my m and my b, and I'm going to write the equation that I came up with. So hopefully you were able to do that and not check that on your own. And finally, number 4, same idea, label m, 2/5. Okay, x is negative 15, y is negative 6. All right, so y equals mx plus b is where I start. I fill in all the pieces that I have. So the negative 6 is the y, the 2/5 is the m, the negative 15 is the x. I'm going to solve that for b. And when I do, I get 0. Nothing wrong with that. Label my m as 2/5, my b is 0, but I don't need to include the plus 0 in my equation at the end. All right, and hopefully you're able to get that. All right, number 5, a line pass has a slope of negative 7. So let's label what we have here, right? We have an m of negative 7. All right, pass through the point 0, negative 7. Is it possible to write the equation without doing any work? Well, hopefully you remember from chapter 4, that anytime the x is 0, okay, that y number ends up being our y-intercept. So believe it or not, if you get that scenario where the x is a 0, we already know b is negative 7. So is it possible to write the equation with no work? If you remember that, yes, it is possible. So y equals negative 7x minus 7. All right, so we're going to do a second part to the video here for the second half of the lesson, just because it is a little bit longer. So hopefully you're able to copy these notes down, and we'll see you in class.